Okay, we're now recording. So let me just give you a little quick, in case you don't know about this song and what happened. He won't mind me telling you. Simon lost his dad last year, last February, to cancer, and he woke up on Father's Day this year thinking of his dad, and this song came from nowhere. He doesn't know where it came from. The words, the melody, the parts, it just all came, and he just spent the day writing it all down. So it's very, very special to Simon, hence the dedication. And Simon's stepmom is also singing in the collective, so it's going to be a toughie for her, I would think, as well. So that's the story behind it, okay? But the words are so apt for what's been going on in collective as well. I think I don't think it's just his dad. I think it's everything that's happened over the past few months. So it's going to be rather an emotional little ride for all of us, I think. But at the moment, we're trying to block that out a little bit and concentrate on the learning. I struggle with about standing together and how proud we'll be. I find myself filling up every time with that. So that's going to be my little battle to keep that under control. So that's the story of it, okay? So if you want to grab a pen to mark it, let me just show you how I mark up my score. If you can see, it's backwards way around, but you can see there's colours and things like that. So I mark all my breaths in one colour, I mark the dynamics in another colour, I mark anything to do with the lyrics in another colour, and anything to do with the notes in another colour, so that when I'm glancing through it, I can see really quickly what's coming up. Yeah, it's just an old musician thing, I think, that I've sort of stuck to. So if you wanted to mark it up in colours, I mean, I've also got a box of 60 Sharpies that I bought one Christmas on a whim, so I do try and use them as much as I can, but it just makes it much easier to read, including on recording day. If I want to glance down, because I don't know it completely, it's really clear to see. So there we go. So we're going to put the breaths in, and I'm going to draw your attention to anything that might be different from the original score, in case some of you have still got the old one printed out, okay? And I'm going to mention anything that tripped me up on my first couple of sing-throughs, because if it tripped me up, there's a possibility to trip you up as well, yeah? And then you can ask me anything you want to ask me. I've disabled the chat. I hate the chat with a passion. If you were in one of my rehearsals in real life talking to one another about your mother and how your sister is and how your dog is and that your hair looks nice, I'd go mad. And it's exactly the same to me in one of these sessions, because the message pops up at the bottom and everybody can see it. So you can't chat because I've disabled it, because I have the power. But what I will do after we've finished, I'll go on Facebook and I'll start a chat on the members page with this time, and you can go in and you can talk about your curtains and your menopause and everything you want to talk about to your heart's content. Yeah, I really don't mind you posting in it and saying hello to each other, but we'll just keep this to singing. Yeah, I am a bit of a control freak, but it's because I just find it sometimes a bit rude. There, I've said it. Says she, the blunt northerner who's rude all the time. Okay, so first thing to look at is these do-do-dos at the beginning. Now, ideally, these are all done in one breath, okay? So as Simon is counting to 4, you need to be breathing in and filling those lungs up, ready to hopefully sing all that 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 bars at once, okay? If you're not used to coming in with just a pitch, we get the pitch and we come in 5 higher, okay? So this won't be the right pitch, but let's say they play do, we'll go do, 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 do. We come in on that one. Yep, so that's how you count it if you need to count it. And as I say, as he's counting, get those lungs filled up, because ideally you do all of that in one. Now, if you can't, please don't breathe on any of the bar lines, okay? Breathe after a bar line. If you need to come off one of the slightly longer notes, breathe and come back in, do that. Or I think if you look at bar 1, 2, 3, we get do, 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 do. You could miss one of those quick do's out and grab your breath then. Yeah, my suggestion would be the G, because all the rest are on the same note. So you take the breath on the note that goes down and you're on the same note all the time. Everybody won't be doing it, so it won't matter. Some people will be able to sing it, and in a recording situation, Simon can adjust the volume however he wants to, if a lot of people don't sing that G. I can do the whole thing in one breath, but I'm a wind player, so that's possibly why. But push yourselves to do it if you can, but when it gets nearer to the time, put yourself a ninja breath in if you need to. Now just look at bar 1, 2, 3. Look at bar 4 for me, which is one note for the whole bar, so it's a semi-breathe. if you've listened to the track, you might be trying to work out what Simon does, because he doesn't do that. He sings it for 3 counts and then puts a tiny little flick of his tongue. So it's not a whole nother duh, but there's definitely something there. If you've got the all parts score, you'll see that the alto and the tenor sing do, do. So they've got a do on count 4, and we have got something that's sympathetic to them, but it's much lighter than a do. So think of almost of an L. So it goes do, lu, do. Yeah. Or roo. Somebody was saying they sing roo. Do, roo, do. If you want to do roo, but it's something that's a lot less than a D, but it's definitely there. And now you know it's there. If you listen to him, you'll be able to hear it. Yeah. So it's a little extra push, however you wish to do it, and it's to match up with the alto and the tenor. So you can't breathe in that bar. I was originally going to use that semi-breathe to sneak a ninja breath, but you can't do it there. So you need to do it in the bar before. Okay, so that's the do's, all in one breath, little extra l in there, and we come in on the 5th. Now, I've also written all the way through, every so often, the minutes and the seconds that we're at. So if you have only got 20 minutes to practice and you want to do the bit that's hard, I've written on my score what that is. So you can find it on your slider at the bottom. Just because I haven't always got 2 hours to practice, sometimes I've just got to run in and sing half a dozen bars and run out. So the tune or the beginning at bar 7 is 22 seconds. So if you don't want to keep doing 22 seconds, mark that in your score. Okay. So if you're not using the full part, if you're using the soprano only, you just hear that there's quite a bit of time till we sing. So we get, it's not the end, it's not the end, it's not the end. We're the 3rd, it's not the end. Okay, if you've got the full score, you'll see that. It all depends what you're singing from. I tend to use part only, but in this one, because there are quite a few entries like that, I've got the full score so I can see what we're doing. So it's not the end, breath. There's a breath there. Everything has happened for a reason. Let's not pretend. Breath. So that's a nice long chunk for you there. If you need to ninja, you know how to do it. Miss a word out. Don't do it across a bar line. Yeah. Miss a word out. Try not to miss really important words out. Miss or for or little words out rather than a big, an important word. So everything has happened for a reason. Let's not pretend. Breathe. It's not been hard. Breathe. Feeling oh so close while being far apart. Breathe. A lot of them are obvious. That one's very obvious. Now, if you just look at bar 12, that bit, it's not been hard. If you were to do that instinctively, you would want to sing, it's not been hard, and you'd want to put that hard at the beginning of the bar. He doesn't do that, and this is something he uses all the way through. It's not been hard. So you've got an extra half a count at the beginning of the bar before you sing hard, and he does that a lot. Okay, so just watch out for it. Mark it so that you know it's there, and that little syncopated rhythm gives it quite a bit of character, so you do need to put them in. Okay, it's not been hard. Okay, so if you've got the full score, we are now turning over the page to bar 15, which is 45 seconds. If you want to mark 45 seconds, depending on how old your score is, you may have got the word it's actually the word is. There's no T in it. Is a life that I thought I'd, and this is lead, not need. If you've still got need on your score because you've got an old score, it's lead, L-E-A-D. It's a life that I thought I'd lead. Okay, breathe. Life that it's got a little 3 above it. If you don't know what that means, that's a triplet, and you are putting 3 notes where there's only space for 2. So it gives it a real lilty feeling. Is a life that I want to do that on a triplet because it's so lilty. Is a life that yeah. So it's got a definite sound to it, a triplet. It's very pretty, very melodic, very nice. So we've breathed after lead. All is silent on the empty streets. Breathe. But then a message rings out so true. Breathe. And message rings is another triplet. Message rings. Okay. Out so true. Breathe. I am not alone. I'm right here. Breathe. That's what you're not expecting. A breath after here. With you, breathe. Okay, so far? To me, that's like a verse, and we're hitting a sort of chorus now in my little head. It's not. We've not been told to structure it like that. So here I stand is 1 minute 10. When I say 1 minute 10, that gives you a few seconds to get in. It doesn't come in bang on 1 minute, but that's what you would need to move it to if you wanted to practice it. 1 minute 10. This next section of about 40 bars repeats later. So this is 40 bars, well worth learning early and well worth learning well, because you've actually learned 80 bars. It's very similar the second time as well. I'll highlight the differences when we get there, but it's similar enough for it to be well worth you putting the work in on that section early on, because you'll suddenly find you know twice as much of the song as you thought you were going to know. Okay, so here I stand. It's not the end. Breathe. I see the light. Breathe. With you, my friend. Breathe. Now, if you don't need to breathe there, and you possibly don't sing it straight through. You at least need to put a break in. Even if you're not going to breathe, you need to put the break in as if you were breathing. But if you're finding that taking a lot of small breaths makes you a bit lightheaded, because sometimes that can send me a bit doolally, don't need to actually breathe in, but you do need to put the gap there as if you were going to breathe. That's the important thing. So after light and after friend, we've come so far. Let's see it through. Breathe. I'm not alone, that much is true. One day we'll stand. Breathe. So that's another nice long bit there. And one day we'll stand is 1 minute 40. Yeah, all right so far? Rhiannon has put this, if you look at the Facebook thread that I set up for my 4 o'clock today, Rhiannon has put a document in where the breaths are in next to the words if you want to check. It'll take you ages to go through and put them all in, but if you've missed any of mine and you want to double check, it's a really good thing to go in and print off. Okay, so one day we'll stand, you've breathed there. Side by side, oh how our hearts breathe. Will fill with pride. Breathe. When all around was dark and blue, breathe. I found my star, you found one, two, breathe. And that's the end of that repeated section. That's where the repeat finishes. So that's the beginning and end of that. And at that point, we're at 2 minutes 2. 2 minutes 2 seconds. Okay? Then we've got a nice little section that doesn't match anything else. That's quite interesting. And so we know that things must change. Breathe. We know that life must rearrange. Breathe. But all we've seen and all we've done, breathe, will shape the world for years to come. Breathe. For years to come, breathe. Okay, and at that point we're at 2 minutes 25. Now we're into the repeat of the earlier bit. We think from what we can gather all the breaths are the same, but I'll give them you again anyway, because otherwise you're going to have to be flicking backwards and forwards and faffing about. And I'll point out anything this time that's different from the last time, so you can circle it. Yeah, there's not much, but you can. I've put a circle around it so I can warn you. So here I stand. It's not the end. Breathe. I see the light. Breathe. With you, my friend. Breathe. We've come so far, let's see it through. Breathe. And on the let's see, we've come so far, let's see. There's a little twiddly note before the see. Let's see is what he does. Let's see. That's extra. So put your circle around that little note so that you don't miss it. Doesn't happen the first time through. So we've come so far, let's see it through. Breathe. I'm not alone, that much is true. One day we'll stand. Breathe. So that's a nice chunk for you to get your teeth into again. And alone, the little twiddle in alone is an extra, so circle that. So one day we'll stand, breathe. And at that point, one day we'll stand, we're at 2 minutes 53. 2 minutes 53. So one day we'll stand, breathe, side by side. Oh, how our hearts breathe. Will fill with pride, breathe. And will fill with pride is completely different. Well, fill with is completely different this time through. Sounds completely different. They've got all those accidentals that make it sound like it's in another key very briefly. So look at that bar carefully because it doesn't match the first one at all. So don't get caught out with that one. So do a bit of work on that bar because it's pretty, but it's tricky. When all around was dark and blue, breathe. I found my star, you found one too, breathe. And that's the end of the repeat. Okay, that's where that repeated section finishes, and we're at 3 minutes 15. That'll be quite handy because I bet you'll want to practice the end quite a bit. So if you have not got a lot of time, you can find it easily. 3 minutes 15 and just do the end. He's not called it a tag, but it feels like a tag, doesn't it? If you're a barber shopper, feels like the bit that's stuck on at the end. Okay, you found one, two, breathe. 1, 2, breathe. It's not the end, breathe. With you, my friend, breathe. That's probably where you're not expecting one after friend. Never the end, breathe. And get plenty of breath on board because hopefully you do and all the end bit in one breath if you can. Okay. If you have to ninja, then do it on the long C, the second bit of where it says end before you go to the higher note so that we don't lose that because that's such a glorious note, such a completely bonkers chord at the end that we don't want to, because we're on the 9th, which is a favourite of Simon's is a 9th. He likes 9ths. And it sounds gorgeous. And that end chord, I mean, it sounds as though it's finished on end, doesn't it? We've got that nice bell chord, blah, 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 blah. We're all singing beautifully. And then he just twists it all around and makes it all very strange to the ear, which to me, it just sounds as though it's not the end, because it sounds now as if it wants to carry on. It sounds as if he's going somewhere else and he's not finished. So it's very, very clever arranging. Very clever. Don't tell him I said that. We don't ever tell Simon I've complimented him. It's a rule. But it's fab. So... has that thrown up any questions so far? Yeah? Or as I say, all I'm doing is giving you the tools to go away and do the work. You don't get the work done here. I'm just telling you what you need to know. Tina, my lovely.
Yeah, can I just double check? In bar 35, is it hearts we're singing, not heart?
Let me look. 35. Hearts with an S on, yeah. Why? Have you got a different score? No?
No. It's just I've been following the track. And sometimes it's a bit difficult to hear, but I just wanted to double check it was hearts.
We haven't been told that that's not hearts. I think sometimes the trouble with Simon's guide tracks is because it's all him, his voice blends so perfectly with himself that sometimes you can't quite pick things out as well as you would if it was 4 or 5 different voices. But that's not a criticism, but that's just the way it is. It just sounds so lovely all together that I often have to think, what? No, I'll have to look at the music. So yeah, some people don't look at the music at all and they learn just from guide track. I'm a very visual learner, but Simon's done an education session on how to use guide tracks to learn without music. If nobody's listened to it yet, it's worth a listen, definitely worth a listen, because he's got some interesting takes on it. I struggle with that because I like to look at the music. Any questions on anything else to do with the song? Obviously. The dynamics are all quite clearly marked. So if you wanted to start putting dynamics in, you could do. They're in Italian. If you don't know what they mean, feel free to ask. MP apparently means quite softly, and it doesn't mean mighty powerful, which is what I've always thought it does, which is probably why I'm always on the back row of the risers. Not mighty powerful. Mezzo piano. So yeah. So if you don't know what the Italian is, ask. Terry.
On measure 7, it's not the end. That I hear it multiple times, but we only say it on the 3rd time.
Yeah. Yes, it goes tenor, and then it goes alto and bass together, and then us. It's not the end. It's not the end. It's not the end. Yeah, you try and listen to the guide track with our part predominant, then you can hear it a lot better than if you listen to the all parts. But yeah, we come in. It's a nice little sort of like fugal entry where we come in the 3rd time. Very pretty, very pretty. But yeah, 3rd one only for us.
And Terry, if you look at the full score, you can see how it works in. Just take a glance.
I'm going to get that.
Yeah, if you've only been using the single part, which is not a problem, I always think you should have the single part, run the full one off as well, because there's a few bits where knowing what the other people are doing is definitely a help, especially at the beginning and especially at the end with that bell chord at the bum 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 bum. It's really handy to see who's doing what. So have a copy of both, I would say, always to hand, even if you just pull it up on your screen. Because I think it's good to see, because it's very easy to forget in this scenario that you're not just you at home singing, and it's not just us, however many there are here. We're part of a much bigger team. I mean, in the last song we were part of a team of 700 without knowing it. So the more involved you can get with the entire piece, the more you'll feel like part of the team, and that's what this is all about, isn't it? Really, all about teamwork and social interaction and all the things we're missing at the moment. To me, it's as much about looking at your lovely faces as it is about the singing. Really is, because you can sing at home on your own, can't you? Can't look at you lot at, well, for me, all times of day and night. So that's really one of the things that attracts me to this. So look at all of them, and also keep having a listen to the all parts as well to see where you fit with everything else, even though at the moment you probably can't sing to it because you wander off onto other parts, but keep listening to it, because I think it does you good. And every so often listen to the soprano without singing, so you can hear what Simon does and get your ear back in, because you tend to pick up bad habits when you're learning, and if you don't go back and check them, you'll just have the bad habit right till the end. So I'm a great advocate of listening to different tracks and occasionally not singing. It's very difficult not to sing along with this one. I found myself humming along even if I'm trying not to, but try occasionally to just listen to what Simon does and look at the score, and then you'll go, oh, I forgot that. Oh yeah, he does that. Oh yeah. So that would be a tip from me, to just keep doing that. Do you want to sing it through again? Yeah, and then you can shout if anything crops up this time from what we've talked about. Okay, so let me put it back to the beginning. Play.
1, 2, 3, 4. It's not the end. It's not the end. It's not the end. Everything has happened for a reason. Let's not pretend. It's not being hard. Feeling oh so close while being far apart. Is the life that I thought I'd lead. All is silent on the empty streets, but then a message rings out so true. I am not alone, I'm right here with you. So here I stand, it's not the end. I see the light with you, my friend. We've come so far, let's see it through. I'm not alone, that much is true. One day we'll stand side by side. Oh, how our hearts will fill with pride when all around was dark and blue. I found my star, you found one too, and so we know that things must change. We know that life must rearrange.
well done. You all seem to be knowing your way around it. Everybody's mouth is moving at roughly the same time, and you all look like you know what you're doing. I think once you start to learn this, it actually goes in quite easily, don't you? I mean, when I first looked at it, I thought, oh, this is going to be hard work, but actually it gets in your head really, really easily and becomes a bit of an earworm, and you can't get it out again. But it's lovely. It's very pretty, and as I say,
Excuse me.
yeah.
Can I just ask? You know, in the bit just where it says the last, and here we'll stand side by side. That one. Is that? Do the sopranos have to say here we'll stand, or do we just come in on stand? Because I don't hear the sopranos singing the basses and the basses and tenors seem to be coming in on the and here we'll before that.
Whereabouts are you? Because we've got one day we'll stand. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, sorry. Whoops. Yeah. One day we'll stand.
One day we'll stand side by side. Yes, we sing One Day We'll. Do you know the problem at this point is we've got that little descant part that's coming, the solo part that's above us, and that's dragging your ear to it, I think, because it obviously the highest part will be the one that sits in your ear. So if you can block that out a little bit. But yes, we sing One Day We'll Stand side by side, and the other three parts under us do exactly the same as we do rhythmically. One day
right,
we'll stand side by side, yeah.
I couldn't hear it.
Yeah, we do definitely, but the descant's doing something potty by that time, so you've just got to try and block the solo bit out. It just adds an extra dimension.
I'm a soloist. I'd love to sing that bit.
Yeah, it's lovely. It's really lovely. Any questions? Oh, that's it. We could record tomorrow. Margaret.
Yes, can you hear me? I just wanted to double check that at the very end, we are the third end. And bar 60...
Fourth. We are the fourth end. Basses go, it's not the end, 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 end. And we're the fourth one.
Ah, sorry. Yeah, sorry. I can't count. That's my problem. I don't do numbers very well. Quite right. Thank you. And fourth one. Right. Okay.
Yeah, we're the top of the chord because the descant person does something different there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, 4. Definitely 4.
Yeah, definitely 4. But because the basses have sung it's not the end and it's not just end, you don't quite hear that it's the bottom of the chord as easily. The other three come in like a bell. Bum, 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 bum.
Yeah.
Lovely chord. Love it. Anything else? No? Brilliant, brilliant. I'll set up a thread for you to post about your wallpaper and things on, and your cats and anything else you like to post. But any serious questions, use that for. And if you've got questions later, I have no problem with anybody messaging me. If you don't want to ask the question in front of other people because you think it's daft, and may I say there is no such thing as a silly question. Believe you me, I've asked all of them. But if you are thinking you don't want to ask it publicly, I have no problem with a message asking me anything. No problem at all. My advice would be get into as many sessions as you can. You'll get the same information from us all, because hopefully, if you're not getting the same information, tell us, because you should be. But everybody delivers it in a very, very different way, and what somebody says might resonate with you and you get it straight away, and what somebody else says might make some, make difference to you. So go into them all. It's free training, ladies. Take advantage of it.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Debbie. It's been a really good session.
Oh, you're very welcome. It's
thank you very much, Debbie.
Did you want to take a photo?
I've took umpteen, don't you fret.
Thanks, Debbie. Don't
forget I've recorded it, so when I watch the recording back to make sure I look all right, because that's the only reason you watch it. I haven't sworn on it or anything like that, and then I can take screenshots from the recordings, so I can look for really nice ones where you're all looking at me. So
yeah. Well, I can't see, so I don't know whether I've got all my head or half my head or.
Well, I wouldn't worry. You're quite dark, I have to say.
Yeah,
but don't worry about it. I'll look through and find something where you all look your best. With some of you with your snazzy backgrounds.
Hang on. I'll put the light on.
There you go.
There we go.
Stay there. Let me take a screenshot that we've planned then. So if everybody would like to smile and look like you've enjoyed yourselves, whether you have or you haven't, I'm going to take it now. I'll take another. Stay there. There you go. So yeah, I'll
Well
I'll
done.
use one of those ones, but if any of you ever want to look at the other ones, you can always ask me and I'll post
Brilliant.
them. So thank you very much.
Debbie,
Thank
can I
you.
just say,
Thank you,
thank you so
Debbie.
much. It was really, really nicely listed. This has
you.
really helped with your session.
Well, that's the idea, so let's hope that they do. And then from next week, they get more interesting because we start to look at the actual emotion and performance and stuff. These ones are a bit dull because they're all about the nuts and bolts, but hopefully, you know,
They're really helpful.
that's what I like to
Really
do.
helpful.
Really good. Really good.
A bit of fun before we have to start doing the school teacher bit. So, so yeah, get into others, get into everybody's sessions and enjoy. And I'll see you all soon.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thanks, Debbie. Thank you. Bye, everybody. Bye.